Hey, everybody. Let's go ahead and answer any questions, or if you want to do a share, unmute yourself, type in, and if not, we'll do some sort of practice, but let's deal with your guys' questions and shares first. So go ahead and fire away.
And questions and shares related to the class. Yeah, go ahead, Priya.
Hey, Bria.
Hey, thank you so much, firstly, for the meditations. It was so good. The first session that we were doing at the end of the meditation, when you said to pretty much come back, I was like, is it even over? And I had to look at the time. I was like, it's been half an hour, and time just,
Oh, yeah,
it was
tonight. Yeah,
deep.
yeah,
It was quite.
yeah.
So, this left at the putting the fingers has made it a little bit easier, but I'm still not able to. Like, I've been practicing blue pull for some time, but I find it a little bit difficult to do this
Sure.
meditation because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't locate it. But definitely putting the fingers has helped, but I'm still not able to locate it. So,
Yeah, it takes a while. Like I would say it's always like a bit of degrees, because even like you're exploring the two lines, like the side to side and the front to back. And so in your head it kind of these two lines kind of cross over like this. And so what starts to happen is you kind of explore and you explore and you explore. And when you do find the blue pearl, it or the mental permanent datum, whatever you want to call it, inner eye, there is like a little bit of like a dropping into it. Like you feel like you drop into something. Like, it's just your consciousness, but it just goes bloop, right? And so the thing that I like about going really soft and exploring it the way that we did on the weekend, and even kind of how we did tonight, I did tonight at Astara just to kind of touch on all this stuff again. A lot of times I kind of overlap things, but there is that, like, having those little movements where you're exploring, because really what you're trying to do is you're trying to turn on the observation mode in your brain. And you know I would say the thing with intellect is we want to go like right to the spot. And there are techniques out there that do that. But I would say also, even if you nail it a couple of times, at some point, intellect starts to kind of impersonate that. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, that's the spot. When really it's not. It is that constant observation, even when you drop in there, because even when you drop into the blue pearl, that is a step, but that's not the end. Like you keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into that mental permanent atom, or that little seed, and you keep going deeper and deeper. And so if you go there with intellect, your ability to stay there doesn't stay very long. And a lot of times there's a body reaction or a mind reaction, like we were talking about it over the weekend, and Samantha like was saying, like, when we just go right to the blue pearl, she goes like, I don't like it. It makes my head feel weird. It gives me a headache. I think she's cried a couple of times because it just ugh. But she goes like doing this really soft thing. She goes, I like it. Like it feels good. It feels I don't know if I'd say safe, but it feels like just gentle, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And I like the idea of that because, even if you just use intellect to get to that spot, like, okay, I know where it's at, I know where this point is, I'm going to go to it. There's still like this continuous momentum of trying to drop into it. And when you get there with intellect, you kind of go there and you start to drop in, and then you kind of like freak out a little bit, like you kind of pull yourself back out of it. It's that observation and the intuitive mind that allows you to go deeper and deeper into the blue pearl. And the intellect kind of has the mentality of like, I need to push to get there and I need to push myself into that pearl. When really it's like gravity. It's like riding a wave. It's not really about trying to push or make something happen. It's just kind of aligning, and then it's almost like surfing where you just go and you just get like sucked into it. And you want to be able to stay kind of in that more spontaneous observation mode, because the more that you can stay there, the more you'll get sucked in deeper and deeper. And so,
Yeah.
I know, like, it's like I was there. Like, I was so frustrated with doing this, like the first bunch of times I did it, and going just direct to it, and I was just like, you know, I sat and just made myself do it, and then finally I could find the spot, but I always found that I couldn't stay there very long. I could stay there for, maybe even 5, 10 minutes or something, but there's times where you can really stay there for a while. And the softer that you do it, I would say, for one, the more benefit you get, the more effective it is, and the longer the effects last, and the longer that you can be there. And so even the thing of spending time trying to find that spot is just as valuable as finding that spot, because it's really like you're kind of getting the mentality of what it's going to take to be able to have your awareness on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, it does make sense, and I also like the slow approach because it has been quite frustrating last few years practicing with a little bit of will. I need to
Oh yeah.
find it.
I get you.
Ah,
Like, I'm super willful when it went, like, that's why I couldn't do it very well at first. And the other thing that I would say is like that the gravity thing. Like, you kind of nailed it. Like, this is one of the more frustrating meditations that there probably is. You know, that and like, okay, find the seed in your heart. Another big frustrator if you get like super into the intellect. You know what I mean? And so there is a gravity there. And I go back to the thing with the intellect is there's that thing about like we feel like we need to push it to get there. And like even the idea of just exploring that area is that mental permanent atom, it does have like a gravity to it. And so even when you get close, you'll kind of start to get sucked into it. And so that's why
I
you kind of keep exploring and you kind of keep getting close, and you're just kind of waiting for and then you kind of
it
drop
was
into.
almost happened once. I could feel the gravity, the pull, but then I freaked out
Yeah,
and I could not. My
yeah,
intellect sort of took over and it was like, no, this is scary. What's happening? And I
right,
just sort
right,
of snapped out of what was about to happen pretty much.
right. I
So,
would say, it was, I can't remember if it was my late teens. I think it was late teens, maybe early 20s. But it was an early version of this that I was doing, and bam, I nailed it. Like, I got there and there was an explosion of light, and I was like, F this, I'm out of here. Like, it was so intense that like it freaked me out. And I didn't even try doing the meditation again for like 3 or 4 years. Like, I mean, it freaked me out that bad. You know,
okay, so that's not.
I would say, I mean, I think different people, might not have that same experience, but um I was being very willful trying to get there when I was doing it. And then as soon as it happened, like the thing that I was setting out to do, as soon as it happened, I was like, couldn't get away fast enough. and I think it is just because, you know, if you think about it, you're using will to get something, and then when you hit that spot, will implies that you have some sort of control there. And when you get that spot, you don't have any control anymore. And so that was I can't say that's for anybody else, but for me, that was the freak out. Was like all of a sudden I had no control. And that thing about slowly doing it and observing, kind of like you're making peace that you don't have control. Okay, I'm going a little deeper. I don't have control. I'm doing a little deeper. I don't have control. I'm a little deeper. I don't have control. Okay, I think I'm near it, but I don't have control. And then when you get sucked in, you're like, ah, I can ride the wave. I don't have control. I'm kind of okay with it. I've made my peace with it. And it's a weird way of looking at it, but that is like kind of one of the aspects or one of the lessons of both the mental permanent atom and the physical permanent atom, the herd seed, is being able to approach it with that awareness, because that awareness, it's not about where we put our attention, it's about how we think or how we use our attention. And if you think about like how you're just exploring those areas and you're observing and you're like, I don't have control, I don't have control, you're utilizing a different part of your mind. And part of what you're doing is you're kind of unlearning some of the intellectual approaches. You're having to go, okay, I know this is how I survive in the world, but for this, it doesn't work. So you almost have to keep like going, I'm unlearning this, I'm unlearning this, I'm unlearning this, I'm unlearning this, and you're waking up a different part of your mind. That's all that like healing or enlightenment or realization or being born again is being able to unlearn something in the intellectual space and allow intuition to kind of come in. That's all it is. There's no magic to it. It's just simply like waking up a different part of the mind. That's all it is.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And the only one word that comes into my mind is surrender. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
approaching with because
Yeah.
in the past, the hardest knock I got, it led me to that surrender, and then things started to change. Surrender. So maybe go deeper into that.
I would say so. Like I think I can't remember if I was talking to just like between you and me, or if this was in a class, or like sometimes the lines get blurry for me, right? But remember when I was like I had that dream and I was like I was remembering something like an old event that was very negative, like very bad, and I I didn't choose it. It's like something that kind of happened. Other people did some things and was upsetting to me, and I really had no control over the situation. And there's been a series. I think we all have things like that in our lives. And part of the mind is like, oh, could have done something different, or oh, what if I would have done this, or I should have stuck up for myself, or this, that. And I just had this dream, and like it was kind of like showing me that whole scenario. And in the dream, there was like somebody standing behind my shoulder, and they go, "It was always going to happen. It was always going to happen." You know, if anything, it could have looked a little bit different, but the end result was always going to happen, right? And so, I got up from that dream and I was like, you know, that kind of, as weird as it sounds, it brought me a kind of peace. Like, okay, it's not because I wasn't smart or I screwed up or I didn't say the right thing, or, you know, you go through your whole list of like, what about this? What about that? And so, like, there, it's about something negative, right? But here, in exploring that mental permanent autumn, if you put your awareness there, it's gonna happen, right? Because even if you don't try, you know, even if we don't try, and you know, we spend our life, I don't know, just doing normal everyday things, we are still going to hit that spot the time we leave our body. So it's always going to happen. It's always going to happen. And you know, sitting and doing meditation, or you're sitting and doing an exploration into going into that area, if you can just get your awareness kind of somewhere by it, it's gonna happen. You know, it might not happen in the time frame that we like, but it's
Mm.
gonna happen, you know. And so you know, the thing about practicing awareness is you can almost have like a kind of faith, or like you can depend on the gravity of that mental permanent atom. It's there.
Yeah.
It is a thing. It is a phenomenon, right? It will, if you can get close to it, it's gonna happen. And so you just got to keep getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And as we get closer, we also have to kind of go, okay, I'm having to let go of some emotions. I'm having to let go of some of my thoughts. Okay, my body's going to have to keep adjusting. And so, you know, some of the rate at which it happens, it's also letting things like kind of acclimate. And,
Mm.
you know, that doesn't have to be fast. And so, you know, I would say just keep exploring that, and knowing that it's gonna happen. Like it's
Thank
just,
you.
you can depend on the gravity of that mental permanent atom. It does what it does. It's like the sun. The sun does what it does. You know, it's there in the morning and it goes down at night. And if you're out in the sun too long, it's going to burn your skin. And, you know, like it makes the food grow, and it, you know, it does all the things that it does. The sun does what it does. And that atom does what it does.
I'm gonna continue practice. Thank you so much. Can I
Yeah.
ask you one last question?
Yeah, of course.
So, how important is the role of the curled up tongue? Because I have wasted so much time curl the tongue up and try to find it, and then the meditation is over, but I'm still just in my, just trying to do that.
I,
If
I,
I
I would I would say similar idea, you know, so what she's talking about is like touching the tongue to the roof of your mouth at one point, but then you can kind of go back further, and you know, there's a spot. I would say, you know, you can just touch the tongue to the roof of your mouth and begin exploring it. And you know how I was saying your body starts adjusting, and your emotions and your mind, you'll notice that the tongue will start to go where it needs to go for you to have the experience. So I would say, you know, you can touch it up there somewhere. You know, a lot of times where I'll start is just behind the teeth, you know, like just barely back there. And then as I start going deeper and deeper, the tongue starts going to spots in the roof of the mouth that intensifies it. And then when there's a few moments of like, oh, like the tongue goes to somewhere that I don't know that I can find on its own.
done. Thank you. This was great
Yeah,
information. I really
good. Yeah,
appreciate
good.
it.
I'm
Thank
glad.
you so much.
Yeah. I
Continue
love
on.
talking about this stuff.
Mhm.
And then go ahead, Denise, then Lavanya,
Hey, hey, Denise.
and you can just unmute yourself tonight.
Thank you. I just had a quick question.
Sure.
I'm for some reason I'm just losing track. I mean, it could be because of my Gmail, the way it's set up. I'm trying to figure out when is like the Zoom coordinates and the YouTube for this class. When are they posted? Have they been posted and did I miss them? Or is it still coming?
So for the 2.0 class over this weekend, Thursday is when I
Thursday
get
and
recordings out. And that's
okay,
good. That's pretty much across the board with any of our classes. So I can include the study group, Wednesday study group in the recordings. So
perfect.
I
Now
think we
that makes
tried to
sense.
reduce the amount of emails that we bombard you guys with. Like we try to really minimize it to a certain extent. And so instead of sending you two separate emails, like here's the recording of the class and then here's the study group, we just try to do it all in one. So that's why we started waiting until Thursdays. If you wanted before, right? They could ask before.
yeah, absolutely. And I give you guys the Zoom recording because
Yeah.
I don't always get it up on YouTube
Yeah.
until maybe on Thursday.
Yeah.
Well, it's ironic just simply because I'm trying to be more organized, but a lot of what we do is letting go of that part, that
Yeah.
that real
Yeah.
intellectual part. So I mean,
Right.
it's just a balancing act all the time.
Right.
Okay, but I'm certainly enjoying these classes so much.
Good,
Thank
good,
you so
good.
much for offering them.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And go ahead, Lavanya.
Hey, Lavanya.
Hey, Greg. So I was wondering, what do you think about the light language? Yeah, I noticed that there was this, I was striving to do more and more forgiveness. I feel like, there is just some stale anger energy sitting after the liver cleansing, and it's still there. And I feel like time to time it's just sitting there. So I was like looking for forgiveness and I was doing all this and I don't know which one to forgive anymore because I felt
Sure.
like I consciously did, but it must have still have something in there, but that I am not consciously aware of. So I was like listening to this, oh, light language, forgiveness. Okay, and then was
Light language.
yeah.
I don't know what the light language is.
Yeah, I can send you the link later, but they say they speak, they connect in spirit, and they just freely speak. There is no like syllables. They just speak in that consciousness. And then they say these are the codes. And for the others, I didn't feel much, but this particular Kuan Yin forgiveness light language, there was just flashes of light all over the body, like just pulsing through and through, like running through MRI or something. Like it's just and like Priya was saying, even for me it was very close, but still not there. In terms of the third meditation for pineal gland or third eye. But however, I feel the flashes of light with this forgiveness meditation through and through. And I was wondering if you can maybe shed some light on that.
I don't know anything about that stuff. The light language, or light languages. I'd have to look at them and stuff. But I would say mechanically, if the thing with forgiveness is we generate a lot of homeostatic emotion in the body. It's the body uses emotion to motivate us to take action in the environment, right? So, like if we're in danger and we get angry, we're going to fight better. If we're afraid, we're going to run faster. If we look at fight flight. And if we go into the freeze mode, if we kind of check out a little bit, it's easier just to freeze and not move. And so the mechanisms for all of that are tied to the Ming Men, the low back. And so they're that physically, and then emotionally, the back heart, and then eventually the crown. And so when you look at forgiveness is Ming Men, back heart, and crown. Ming Men is the physical aspect where you're breaking down the physical reactions, the triggering tendencies within the body. Then there's the back heart that transmutes things emotionally, and then the crown transmutes things mentally, and then eventually it rises up to the point 12 inches above your head. And if there's any sort of pattern there, it registers as lesson learned. And so that idea of like how we do the meditation where or practice the pattern where we put our awareness on the soles of our feet, and because some of that pattern is also below the feet, and then we move from the feet up to the Ming Men, and then the Ming Men to the back heart, and then the back heart to the crown, and then go up to approximately a foot above your head. You're going through and you're doing a transmutation process, and so that's tied to forgiveness. But the reason why to do forgiveness is you're trying to do transmutation. You're transmuting the reactions of the body, not just the reactions, but you're transmuting the primal aspects of the body. And so that practice is key to unwinding any of these things that are stuck in the body. A lot of times when we have anger, we look at it from the point of view of something mental, and we go like, what's the story? Who did it? Like, what do I need to release? When really it can just be an accumulation or an agitation in the body that needs to be undone. So even if you go back to all these different scenarios, you go through and you process them, but still the anger is there, still the fear is there, still the resentment or sadness is still there. And it's part of it is because either the body's in an agitated state and it keeps generating those emotions, not because of those past events, it just gets agitated and it's like, okay, we're going to generate anger, we're going to generate fear, because really the body's always looking at how it feels in the environment. So if it doesn't feel safe, it's going to say, hey, you're going to need to fight, or hey, you're going to need to run. So I'm sending fear impulses to the emotions and to the mind, so you step up your game and you get ready to run or fight. Well, the difficulty is that sometimes even the environment might change, but the body still feels like it's in that state, that place, that agitated state. And so the more that you can go through and transmute these things and calm the body down, it's really a neurological thing. And so the more that you calm down these aspects of the nervous system, the more that the body calms down and starts like shifting and changing, right? And then when you're presented with something that might be upsetting or causing fear, you'll notice that the fear levels have gone down substantially. So it really is about like transmuting the agitation and the primal drives of the body so that your emotions and your mind become clearer. Like, it's basically like how you want your mind and emotions to feel. You have to go into the body and go, where do I feel this? Where do I need to transmute this? And how do I move it? So if you look at the idea of the Ming Men, for example, like if there's something, like if your body has an area where there's healing that needs to happen, like say your liver, or say there's a bunch of congestion in the arms and legs, or you have like back pain or knee pain or something, part of what happens is the Ming Men will overactivate to try to transmute those blockages in the body, right? And so whenever there is some sort of feeling in the body like that, like even if it's like, okay, the liver's not functioning well, or I'm feeling anger, like the Ming Men will overactivate to potentially transmute it. But if the energy is too heavy, too stuck, there's cords, there's attachments, our mind or emotions get in and all mixed in on it, the transmutation doesn't really happen. So the more that you practice the pattern of soles of the feet, Ming Men, back heart, crown 12 inches above your head, it's like you're creating this pathway that when something arises, boom, the body already has this pathway. It already has this pattern within the body that it then begins to transmute it. So I would say the practice would be to keep instilling in the body that pattern. Because even when they say practice forgiveness, really like saying forgiveness is a way to motivate the person to really what they're saying is practice transmutation. Like, you could take that same practice, has nothing to do with things in your past. You look at things in the environment, you look at things in the news, you look at things that have nothing to do with you, and you go through and you do that. And again, it keeps tempering the body's reaction to these different scenarios and any sort of tendency that might make you feel insecure or unsafe or that you need to protect yourself or whatever it is. And so that's the practice I would do if you're struggling with that.
Thank you so much, Greg. And I think that explains so many things, like my
Yeah,
experience or life in general.
sure.
Even when I was doing a 4 quadrant and the back one, even when I was doing it for only shorter time, like 30 seconds on each side,
Mhm.
the back side has the tremendous effect and calmed me down immediately.
Right, right,
So
right.
this whatever you explained right now, it really makes sense and where I need to put work. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate
so
it.
welcome.
Mhm.
To kind of jump on that, is there different, I know ginger lily is great for transmuting, but is there other oils like that might be extra good, for different circumstances even? So,
Yeah, so ginger lily is good for that practice that we just talked about. Rose is quite good. If it tends to be a little bit more mental, cypress can be good, even juniper. Um, if it's like blockages in the body, like especially if it's like say you're dealing with physical health issue or pain in the body, marjoram can actually be quite good. But again, I would even say for that marjoram or again ginger lily. Like ginger lily, when you use it in the form of transmutation, actually can have almost like a pain relieving quality to it. Not like you put it on an injured spot and you go, oh, that feels so much better, but because it transmutes the reactions in the body, it will calm the body down, and because of that, the pain will diminish somewhat. Um, Even tarragon, benzoin, astral projection, which is like your jam. Um, uh, let's see what else. Aloes would be good. Tuberose could be good. I mean, you could play with some of these. Usually, we recommend like ginger lily, just because it's got such a wide spectrum of things that it addresses. Rose, I would say, would probably be second. There's a blend called Sadness and Grief that's made for that process. Astral Projection is made for that process. Um, yeah. Yeah, I think those are good choices for that. I mean, even if you don't do it with oils, it will still do something. The oils just make the effects happen deeper, quicker, and longer lasting. But even not using oils, it will still produce a result.
no, we usually, I want to say usually, I don't know, but do Ming Ming, back heart crown, but like, is it stronger to do soles of the feet?
Yeah, it's stronger to do soles of the feet. Like sometimes if there's maybe new people or I'm not sure who's going to be there, I won't mention the soles of the feet because sometimes it can be a little strong. And like you're kind of wanting to get the pattern going. So sometimes we'll just do Ming Men, back heart, crown. But the deeper practice is soles of the feet, Ming Men. I mean, for me, what I do soles of the feet, Ming Men, back heart. Then I go to the brain. I let it linger on the brain for a little bit, then I go to the crown, then I go 12 inches above the head. And that is the deeper practice. And even with oils, it's very effective, but the oils make it so much stronger, like so much stronger. Even the class coming up on the weekend, we're working these different aspects of the moon, and you're breaking out of things that are holding you in place, like holding you like captive, or captive's not the right word, but it's like breaking a gate that's keeping you in repetition. And some of it is of the mind, be it from other people or past experiences or your own thoughts. And some of it is actually a karmic issue, a karmic weight. And I think at least two, if not three, of the patterns, we do this whole pattern, and then we still have to go through and do that transmutation, because you're breaking out of this pattern, be it an emotional pattern, mental pattern, or even like a physical pattern that's in your physiology. And once you break out of it, it's like it's there, but it still needs to be transmuted up. And so, yeah, I did a practice for a while where I would look at the news and then do transmutation. Like I look at an article and go, oh, that's bad. Some war going on, or some, shooting or something. I was like, oh, so upsetting. And then I'd do transmutation. And then I'd go and find something else. I'd look at it, I'd kind of read the article a little bit, and then I'd do transmutation. I'd do transmutation, and then I would bless the situation. And I got to where I could look at the news, and even when like really bad things that would normally upset me, I could look at it and just go, it's upsetting, but I'm not reacting, because the thing is, it can even happen with like movies, is that your mind is looking at it and it knows, like, hey, that's the news, that's across the world, or hey, that's a movie. Your body doesn't get that message. Your body thinks it's really happening. And so, you see some movie that might get you a little wound up, or you see something in your news and you're like, oh, that's so upsetting. It might be upsetting emotionally and mentally, but your body starts freaking out because it thinks it's the environment. And so the idea of doing that with the news is to temper your reaction, so that when you hear something or see something or read something, that your body becomes non-reactive.
Yeah, go ahead, Lavanya.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, and thank you for asking about the oil, Samantha. It was so nice because I was thinking about that, and the chat was disabled. Thank you. And the blend you mentioned was sadness and grief.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's rose, marjoram, and cypress together.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
real simple.
The ginger lily is the best on the rose. Okay.
Yeah, like I would say ginger lily is probably a little bit better than that blend,
Blend, yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. And I want to add to the TV news you mentioned. There is this one TV show we watch, and anytime there is like some kind of a humiliation going on of a certain character, I can't watch it. I get
Right.
worked up so much.
Right,
I
right.
walk away.
So like while you're sitting there and you're watching, and you're like, ugh, do the transmutation, even without the oil.
Okay.
Just go, okay, soles of the feet, Ming Men, back heart, crown,
Yeah.
and then it kind of transmutes that reaction in the body, because it's
Yeah.
your body usually that's reacting.
Yeah, yeah. Someone told me that the day you watch this show without worked up, then the day you will be enlightened on that day. I was like, okay,
Right,
that's so true.
right.
Thank you. So the next question I have is the upcoming course that you have on materialization, and then the Kriya Shakti of the Astara course. But that can be wait for the end if that's not appropriate right now. But I was just curious if there is a similarities or difference between.
The they're different facets of the same thing. You know, the one with the oils is working with brainwaves and working with the aspect of action, momentum, and then eventually integration. And so, you know, we've taught like a bunch of materialization classes. I think that was like number 6 or number 7 or something. But like, you know, each one kind of dealt with a different aspect. But I would say out of all the oil classes, that one's one of the more juicy materialization practices. So in the Astara version of Kriya Sakti, you know, we do the materialization breath and we spend time blessing the earth and we use like a holy name to go through and do it. And so that practice isn't super long. Like it's like 45 minutes or an hour, I think. And like I would say, it could be something that you do on a daily basis or 3 or 4 times a week. It's like kind of a shorter version, but it very much displaces like the conditioning of the past and helps kind of break you out of both of the classes, helps break you out of the intellectual mind and more into the intuitive part, which is the part about motion and putting things in action and process and you know, I was taught the other form of materialization where you write and you know you do all those things, and it almost always had the reverse effect. And part of it is because you know the intellect would get in and like say you know I'm writing some goal, but in my intellect mind I could come up with 20 reasons why it wasn't going to work. Like, you know, my mind can go like, it's not going to work because of da 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 da. And so as I'm writing it, I kind of always infused it into that. And so I just stopped doing that because I was like, not only does it not work, it works worse than if I don't do anything. But if I do the materialization, it works. And, you know, it's because I get out of my head, you know, I get out of the intellect. And so, you know, the teachings are in Astara. You know, she just talks about drawing energy or prana from the breath and doing it that way. But like we put the technique forth of doing it. And the oils are based on a version of that technique that I was taught like almost 35 years ago. 35 might even be 40 years now, like a long, long time ago. And so, you know, it was by a medicine man and very effective, you know, very, very effective. So they're different facets of the same practice. Like anything materialization, it's always that I teach, it's always different facets of that same practice, you know. Yeah, there's still even deeper things about materialization that we haven't talked about, but you know, we will eventually. But I would say the more that we establish this base of classes that we're doing, when we come back around to materialization, people will even get a deeper level of it as we go through and do it. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank
you're
you.
so welcome.
You might see me, you might get bored of seeing me in every class from there. Oh, there she is, not leaving me. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
But there is like a couple of the oils that I might be strongly allergic reaction, like the some reason I'm reacting to basil. Like basil is
Huh.
supposed to be the Sanjeevani, the meditate, like supreme one, but even when I make the basil concussion for someone who has cold, I have this basil leaves, but I can tell my body is reacting to that. And then lavender, it gives me headache. So I will talk to Sam if she can substitute those with something else similar.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think we still have a time for a bit of a practice.
Yeah. So let's also do This is the one where I did the soft thing on the brain or not?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
okay. So let's do,
Just not in the book.
right, okay, that's why I was like, I'm not seeing it in the booklet. Right, I forget. So let's just do a little bit of a soft roll into exploring that area in the center of the head. So again, close your eyes and your awareness is on the brain. And with your awareness on your brain, you can say it with me or you can just hear my words. Keep your awareness on your brain. And we're going to do Om, Ah, So keep your awareness on your brain. Om, Ah, Om, Ah, Om, Ah, Om, Ah, Om, Ah, Sink in a little bit deeper into the brain. Om, Ah, Om, Ah, Om, Ah, Go a little deeper into the brain. Om, Ah, Om, Ah, Om, Ah, Om, Ah, Om, Ah, Om, Ah, Om. Sink a little deeper into the brain. Ooh, ah, ooh. 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 Go a little deeper into the brain. Ooh, ah, ooh. Ooh, ah, ooh. Keep going a little deeper, a little deeper. Ooh, ah, ooh. Ooh, ah, ooh. Ooh. Vajra Guru Padme Siri Hu. Om Ahum Vajra Guru Padme Siri Hum. Om Ahum Vajra Guru Padme Siri Hum. Om Ahum. You can see the way we use the mantra. It's almost like there's just this like sound or rhythm that you kind of keep following, and it just keeps taking you deeper and deeper to that spot. We didn't even use oil. Like I was doing it, I was like, oh yeah, we're going to do things with oils. I got too much into the mantra. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the class. At some point, we'll do this class again. We might do a 3.0 version, maybe by the end of the year. But anyway, so we're going to jump over to the Mystic Tool practice, and this might have something to do with that as well. So some of you are there, we'll probably be continuing. So take care, you guys.